All right, let's dive in. We're going to walk through an ancient story, a story of integrity under some serious pressure. We're breaking down Genesis chapter 39, verse by verse. And the goal here is to build a picture in your mind so vivid that you just can't forget it. So let's get started. You know, it all starts with this one little detail tucked away at the end of verse 6. Joseph was a good-looking guy. Now, that might sound like a throwaway comment, but trust me, it's not. It's the spark that's about to ignite a massive, life-altering test. But before we get to the test, we need to set the stage. Joseph's life has been, well, a total roller coaster. And right now, he's on one of those steep climbs up. He's literally gone from the bottom of a pit to a position of incredible trust. Let's see how it happened. Okay, verse 1. I want you to picture this. A hot, loud, chaotic slave market in Egypt. And there's Joseph. He's just a teenager, being sold to a man named Potiphar. And this isn't just anybody. Potiphar is the captain of Pharaoh's guard, a seriously powerful dude. Moving on to verse 2. Now, imagine there's this subtle, almost invisible glow around Joseph. It's not magic or anything. It's just a way to visualize this key phrase, the Lord was with him. And because of that, pretty much everything Joseph touches just works. It succeeds. Even as a slave, he's a successful man. And here is where it gets really interesting. Potiphar notices. You can just see him maybe standing on his balcony, watching Joseph manage his fields, his finances. And the profits are just impossibly high. Potiphar's smart. He realizes this is way more than just skill. He can see that some higher power is making this kid prosper. And all this leads to a super fast promotion, which plays out over the next few verses. Let's walk through it. Verse 4. Because of what he sees, Potiphar promotes Joseph. Picture Potiphar calling him out of the fields to become his personal servant. That's a huge deal. Then, verse 5, the trust gets even deeper. The moment Joseph is put in charge, this blessing is on everything Potiphar owns. That golden light we imagined, think of it spreading from Joseph and touching every part of the estate. Which brings us to verse 6, the ultimate promotion. Potiphar basically hands Joseph the keys to everything. The trust is so complete that Potiphar doesn't worry about a single thing except for the bread which he ate. He just checks out and leaves it all to Joseph. So Joseph's at the top, he's trusted, he's successful, he's secure. But you know how stories go, right? Right here, at the peak of his success, things are about to take a very sharp, very dangerous turn. Verse 7, and bam, the peace is just shattered. After a time, Potiphar's wife looks at Joseph, and she doesn't ask, she doesn't suggest, she commands, lie with me. You can just feel the air in the room get sick with tension. It's a direct, shocking, and incredibly dangerous proposition. And in this moment, everything just freezes. His career, his reputation, maybe even his life. It's all on the line. I mean, think about it. He's a slave. She's the master's wife. What choice does he even have? Well, Joseph's response in the next two verses is immediate, and it's crystal clear. First, in verse 8, he refuses out of loyalty. You can just picture him gesturing around the room, saying, look, my master has put everything he owns in my hands. Then in verse 9, he draws a hard line. He's kept nothing from me except you, because you were his wife. And finally, he gives the ultimate reason, kind of looking up as he says it. How could I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Verse 10. And get this was not a one-time thing. The Bible says she spoke to him day by day. Imagine a time lapse, you know? The sun rising, setting. Every single day she's pressuring him. And every single day, he's not just refusing her, he's refusing to even be in the same room alone with her. The pressure just keeps building until it explodes in the next two verses. In verse 11, the trap is set. One day, Joseph goes into the house to do his work, and he realizes none of the other men are around. It's an ambush. And then, verse 12, she sees her chance. She lunges, grabs him by his cloak, and demands, lie with me. And in that split second, Joseph makes his move. He doesn't fight, he doesn't argue, he just slips out of his cloak and runs, leaving the only piece of evidence behind in her hand. And that cloak, the very symbol of his integrity, the proof that he ran away, is about to be twisted and used as the weapon for his destruction. His righteous escape is going to be reframed as a criminal act. So her lie comes together over the next three verses. Verse 13, the second she's left holding his cloak, the wheels start turning. Then, verse 14, she immediately screams for the other servants. And you can just imagine the performance. She's pretending to be terrified, holding up the cloak as proof and yelling, "See, this Hebrew was brought here to mock us. He came in to lie with me, and I cried out." Then, in verse 15, she adds the masterstroke to her lie. "When he heard me scream, he dropped his garment and ran outside." And now, the trap is complete. In verse 16, she just waits, laying his cloak beside her until her husband gets home. Then, in verses 17 and 18, when Potiphar arrives, she tells him the whole fabricated story, twisting every single detail. The truth is what we saw. She grabbed him, he ran. The lie she tells is the complete opposite, that he attacked her and only ran away because she screamed for help. I mean, can you imagine? For Joseph, this is a sudden, brutal free fall. He did the absolute right thing, and the consequence is total ruin. He's about to go from the penthouse of the palace right back to the very bottom. So in verse 19, when Potiphar hears his wife's story, his anger just flares up. And in verse 20, with no trial, no investigation, he takes Joseph and throws him into prison. And not just any prison. This one is reserved for the king's personal prisoners. You can just hear the heavy clang of that iron door slamming shut. But, and this is one of the most powerful buts in the entire story, in the darkness and despair of that prison cell, that same subtle golden glow we pictured earlier, it reappears. It's a visual reminder, but the Lord was with Joseph. See, that divine favor isn't tied to a nice house or a good job. It's tied to his character. Verse 22. And check this out, the exact same pattern starts all over again. The Lord gives Joseph favor with the prison warden. The warden sees the same thing Potiphar saw, that same integrity, and he puts Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners. And this brings us to verse 23, the last verse of the chapter. And it's almost an exact echo of his time with Potiphar. The warden doesn't worry about a single thing under Joseph's authority because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. The blessing is still there, still working, even in the absolute worst of places. So this incredible chapter really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Joseph lost his freedom, his job, his reputation, all for doing the right thing. And it kind of forces us to ask ourselves, when everything we rely on is stripped away, what's actually left of our character?